So, we're going to dive into a really big economic idea today, but forget the dry, dusty textbooks. Instead, I want to tell you a story. It's the story of a single raspberry farmer, and she's just trying to make it in one of the toughest markets out there.
Think back for a second. Did you ever mow lawns for cash? Or maybe deliver papers? Or babysit? If you've done any of those classic first jobs, then you, my friend, have already lived through perfect competition. You probably didn't even know it, but you were surrounded by tons of other people doing the exact same thing. And with all that competition, right, you couldn't just roll up and say, hey, I'm charging $20 for a lawn when everyone else was charging 10. No way. Your customers would just call the kid down the street. You had to take the going rate, whatever that was. And that makes you what economists call a price taker. Well, our raspberry farmer, she's in the exact same boat. You've got pressure from thousands, literally thousands, of other farmers, and that forces her to sell at the going market price. She's just one small farm in a massive market, so she has zero power to set her own price. And believe me, that one simple fact is going to drive every single decision she makes from here on out. All right, so that brings us to her first huge decision. She can't control the price, we've established that, but what she can control is how much she grows. So the big question is, to make the most money possible, how many packs of raspberries should she actually produce? Okay, let's look at the actual numbers. The market price is $4 a pack. Now check out what happens to her profit. If she produces nothing at all, she still loses $62 because of her fixed costs, things like rent. But look what happens if she goes overboard, produces 110 packs. Her costs just explode and she loses even more money. So it's pretty clear the answer isn't just grow as many raspberries as you can. And when you actually see that data as a chart, it becomes super obvious. There's a clear sweet spot. See? Her profit goes up, it hits a peak right there around 80 packs, and then it starts to drop off. That peak, that is the magic number she's gunning for. And there it is, $90. With the market the way it is right now, that is the absolute most profit our farmer can possibly make. Her whole operation, everything she does, needs to be aimed at hitting that one specific target. The economic rule for finding that sweet spot is actually pretty simple, kind of beautiful, really. All she has to do is keep producing one more pack and then one more, as long as the $4 she gets for it is more than what it costs her to grow it. But the second the cost of making that next pack equals the revenue, she stops. Bam, that's it. That's the sweet spot, the point of maximum profit. All right, so our farmer has her plan. She's dialed in. But you know how it is in a competitive market. Things can change in the blink of an eye. So let's throw a wrench in the works, shall we? Let's say the market crashes, and now she has to make an even tougher call. And I mean, disaster strikes. The price just gets slashed in half. Maybe a ton of new raspberries flooded the market. Who knows? But suddenly, the going rate is just $2 a pack. All that careful math she did, totally useless now. Now, at this new super low price, she's going to lose money no matter what she does. It's a guarantee. So the big question, the really obvious one, is should she just pack it in, cut her losses, and shut down for the season? So here's where it gets tricky. She's basically got two bad options. Option A, she keeps the farm running, produces about 65 packs, and loses around $47. Option B, she shuts down completely, produces nothing, and loses $62. That's her fixed costs, right? She has to pay those no matter what. So, wait a minute. Staying open and losing money is actually the better choice here. So why on earth would that be the case? Well, it's because even at that crappy $2 price, every single pack she sells still covers its own day-to-day costs, what economists call variable costs, like paying her workers and buying the little plastic containers. And there's even a little bit left over to help pay down those bigger fixed costs. It's not about making a profit anymore, it's all about minimizing the loss. But there is a line in the sand, a tipping point. For her farm, that magic number is about $1.72 a pack. If the market price drops below that, then she can't even cover the basic day-to-day costs. At that point, staying open actually makes her losses even worse. And that's when shutting down becomes the only smart move. Okay, let's zoom out for a second. We've been really focused on her one farmer, but her story, it's happening to thousands of other farmers at the same time. And all of their individual decisions, when you add them up, create these huge, powerful forces that actually shape the entire market. This is the big picture.
And there's this fantastic quote that just nails it. It says that in a competitive market, profits are like a red cape. Think about it. When farmers are making good money, like that $90 we saw earlier, it's a massive signal to everyone else. It's basically shouting, hey, come on in, there's money to be made over here. And that signal, it kicks off this totally predictable chain reaction. First, new farms jump into the market. That means the total supply of raspberries goes way up. And what happens when there's more of something? Yep, the price gets pushed down for everybody. This whole process just keeps going until all those juicy extra profits are competed away, eventually getting driven all the way down to zero.
And as you can probably guess, the exact opposite happens when farmers are losing money. Those losses are another signal, but this time it's like a big, dark thundercloud rolling in telling everyone, get out, time to flee the market, maybe go grow some strawberries instead. So you have this constant churn, right? People entering, people leaving. And eventually, it all pushes the market toward a state of balance. It's called long-run equilibrium. And what that means is the price settles at a point where it's just high enough for the average farm to cover all its costs. And that includes a decent salary for the farmer, but no higher. Economic profit is zero, the red cape is gone, the thundercloud is past, the market is just stable. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds like a bunch of textbook theory. But honestly, this model of entry and exit, it's an incredibly powerful tool for explaining what happens in the real world. Just take a look at this data from North Dakota. It's pretty wild. For generations, that state was all about wheat. They called it king wheat. But then, between 1972 and 2013, the amount of land used to grow corn just exploded. We're talking almost a 10-fold increase. So what on earth happened? It was farmers responding to market signals, exactly like in our model. See, for years, wheat sold for a higher price, and that made up for the fact that you couldn't grow as much of it per acre. But then, the prices for corn and wheat started getting closer and closer, and suddenly, corn's higher yields made it way more profitable. What happened next? A mass exodus from wheat and a massive rush into corn. And this quote from a local publication just says it all. This wasn't just a handful of farmers changing their minds. This was a complete reshaping of the entire agricultural landscape of a state. And it was all driven by that simple, relentless search for profit in a competitive market. So this model of perfect competition, it's basically the textbook definition of efficiency. It's this powerful force that pushes prices down to the lowest possible level they can be. But, and this is a big but, it's just a model. And it leaves us with a really important final question to think about. What does this perfectly efficient system leave out? What about things like pollution from farming or fair pay for the workers in the fields? Those are absolutely crucial questions that this model, as powerful as it is, just doesn't have an answer for.